Hey everyone, this is Dunkleostis with a feature overview for Build 77. The early game of Build 77 has changed significantly from Build 76, and so we're going to look at that. Right now we're going to look at pottery. So we're going to take our clay here, we're going to right click it, and we're going to open an interface similar to knapping, and we're going to start drawing the clay items we want to make. First we're going to do this. And that makes us a clay jug. Next, we make some clay molds. And finally, we make a clay vessel. Now, as I'm sure you know, clay cannot be used. We first have to convert it into ceramics. Alright, so what we're going to need is we're going to need a knife, we're going to need a fire starter, we're going to need some, well, I mean, we're eventually going to need some straw, and we're going to need some logs. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your knife and you're going to break grass. I'm in creative mode, and in 1.6 you can't actually break blocks with weapons. That's just vanilla, so we're going to assume that I'm breaking this grass here. We're going to get some straw. Alright, so next thing we're going to need is the logs. We only need one because we're in creative mode. So we're going to have a hole that's 2 blocks deep. We're going to take our clay items. We're going to place them in the hole. Let's place one. Let's get this all done. We're going to take some straw. You're not going to need just one for this. This is just creative mode. We're going to place the straw in there, and we're going to place the logs on top of that. Then we're going to take our fire starter, we're going to light the whole thing, and this is called a pit kiln. Alright, so you're going to let this burn down, the fire is going to keep going until it's done, and then you can collect your ceramic items. In Build 77, log piles can't be placed above empty blocks or non-solid blocks, other than a fire pit. Similarly, if we take some of the logs out of that out of this log pile, we won't be able to place another log pile on top of it. However, if we fill it up, we will be able to. Along with this feature, axes can no longer be used to make planks out of saws. So there's actually quite a limited number of blocks that will be accessible to your early game that will not that are not affected by gravity. So you're going to be able to use this straw here, and you're going to be able to make a thatch block, which floats freely. Alright, so when your kiln is done, you're gonna go down here, you're gonna find your items, you're gonna right click them to pop them out. And here we go. So we have a ceramic jug, ceramic vessel, and a ceramic mold. The ceramic jug is used to replenish your thirst. Thirst now, when you step in water, I mean, if my thirst bar was depleted, you'd be able to see this, it actually regenerates very slowly. So what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to pick up the water in the jug, and you're going to be able to drink it like that. And it's going to be a faster way to replenish your water. Alright, now I'm going to show you how the vessel works. So you're going to open up the vessel by right-clicking, and you're going to see a small inventory here. In here, you're going to be able to place any items that are small, which is actually what ore is now. You'll notice that it stacks up to 16. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to place our ore in here. Now, as a quick side note, copper is now the first metal you're going to be making your tools out of. It's not the tier 0 ores like tin and zinc and bismuth, consider we would be making tin. These are a lot rarer now, and they're only going to be used as supplementary ores. So we could throw in all this copper, we could smelt it, but what we're actually going to do is we're going to put some cassiterite in with this copper. You're going to notice this is an 8-to-1 ratio, because we're going to be making bronze here. The old alloy system has been removed, and that allows us to be more flexible with the ratios of metal. We don't have to use just 4 metals anymore. So we're going to take this, we're going to place it back down, just like we did with, hang on, we're going to grab some grass. We're going to place it back down, just like we did when it was a clay vessel. We're gonna get our straw in there. We're going to place our log pile. Yep, there you go. All right, and now we're just going to wait. All right, now that the kiln is finished, we're going to go down there. Let's get rid of that. We're going to pick it up. All right, so now we're gonna right-click to look inside. It's going to say bronze, 450 units. That's how much bronze we made. So we're going to take a ceramic mold. We're going to place it in there, and it's slowly going to fill up. 1 unit is, there's 100 units in a full mold. So this would have been 450 would have been 4.5 bars bronze. The next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to make some molds. So we're going to take our clay, and we're going to make the pattern of whatever tool we want to make, similar to knapping and tool plans. So that's going to give us a clay axe mold. You're going to cook the clay axe mold the same way that we've cooked the vessels and the other clay items like the jug. Alright, so now what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to make a forge. This is a little different than it was in Build 76. So we're going to set it up just like we used to. We're going to take the charcoal though, and we're going to start placing the charcoal. So 8 charcoal makes a full block. Took a very long time. And we're going to open it up and we're going to see the regular old forge interface. So what we're doing is we're going to heat up this bronze. You'll notice it's heating up very fast. I'm in debug mode, so that's going to happen. You really shouldn't be playing on that mode. It kind of ruins the game. So we're going to take this. If you hold shift there, it'll say right-click to pour into a tool mold. So what we're going to do is we're going to right-click. We're going to take this thick mold. We're going to put it in there. That's going to give us a thick mold bronze. This, you take it out, it's going to turn back into a ceramic mold. So with this thick mold, we're going to need a crafting table, because there's no crafting grid in your inventory in creative mode. We're going to place it in there, and that's going to give us a pick. So this is how you're actually going to be making your copper and bronze tier tools. You can use an anvil. We haven't taken that out yet, but it's going to be a lot easier. You're not going to need to make the anvil if you're going to be using these molds. After bronze is iron. What you're going to need to do is you're going to need to make some bronze double sheets on an anvil. You're going to take them over to the crafting grid. You're going to do this to make a bloomery. This is a very different bloomery than you're probably used to. So we're going to place the bloomery here. We're going to get up on top of the bloomery. We're going to take our charcoal. We're going to place a charcoal block behind the bloomery block. Then we're going to throw in our ore, add a bit of charcoal. We're going to come down here and we're going to light it. Now we're going to grab any extras. Alright, and so you're just going to let your bloomery sit. You don't have to touch it, you don't have to bellow it, you just let it sit, it'll smelt your ore. Alright, so now that the bloomery is finished, we're going to open up the side. We're just this block here. Alright, so once you've harvested the block that you found behind here, you'll get something called raw iron bloom. We're going to close this up. And we're going to head over to the forge. Alright, now that our bloom is nice and hot, we're going to take it over to the anvil. You'll notice it's a new interface. Alright, so to start off, this is how the rules work now. They're going to be listed up here, and this is the 3 most recent actions you performed. So that's going to turn it into refined iron bloom 200%, but we're going to do it one more time. Alright, and so that's going to give you 2 refined iron blooms at 100%. So we're going to take those back over to the forge. We're going to start heating them up. Alright, so we're just getting this refined bloom to its melting temperature, and there you go. It melts directly into a wrought iron ingot. So we're going to take that out. We should move that one up. And there we go. We have 2 wrought iron ingots now. Oh, this one's cold, so we're going to take this over here, and we're actually going to just be able to pop it out. You saw we got that ceramic mold back, so you don't actually have to smith it, you just pop it right out of the mold. Alright, now we're going to learn how to make something called fire clay. So we're going to place our quern here. We're going to take some kaolinite. We're going to start grinding it. And we'll see that that makes kaolinite powder. Similarly, if we put graphite in there, we'd get graphite powder. Now that we have our kaolinite powder and graphite powder, we can go over to a crafting table. I'm going to put clay in the center, kaolinite powder on the sides, and graphite around the clay to make fire clay. For this next part, we're going to need some fire clay. So we're going to open up this interface. And we're going to need a crucible. We're actually going to need a couple of these, so let's grab 2. Alright, so now we're going to go over to the crafting table, and we're going to put a crucible in the center. And 8 wrought iron double sheets around it. That's going to give us a blast furnace. So the blast furnace is like the upgraded version of the boomer. We're going to build it over here. Alright, now we're going to make a tuyere. Alright, so this is how the blast furnace is going to be set up. We have the blast furnace block right here. We have our tower, we have a bellows right here. If we go up to the top, you'll see that the blast furnace is actually directly at the bottom of the stack. And we're going to put our second crucible right there. You'll see there's a slot here. This is actually where the tuyere goes, so we're going to put that right there. And we're done. So now we're going to be able to start smelting some iron ore with this. And it's not going to be the same as the bloomery. The bloomery is rather slow, and it can only smelt a small amount of iron at a time, and you're going to get wrought iron. So what we're going to do for the blast furnace is we're going to throw in 32 flux, our magnetite, and we're going to throw in as much charcoal as it'll take. There we go. Alright, so we're going to see that the ore and the charcoal are full. We got our wrought iron tuyere there. Start operating the bellows. The temperature is slowly increasing. Alright, so I'll be back when this is finished. Alright guys, so if we look in here, we're going to see that there's actually no more charcoal, no more ore, there's no output here listed either. And that's because it is dropped down into the crucible. So you're going to see it's going to say pig iron here. We're going to take a ceramic mold, we're going to put it in there, it's going to slowly fill up. we have some pig iron. Alright, and now that we have our pig iron ingot, we're going to put it in this raw iron anvil. It's going to make high carbon steel. And now we have steel. Alright, let's actually throw some charcoal in here. We're going to talk about some alloys. So the crucible is not only what we're going to use to catch the metal out of the blast furnace, we're actually going to use it to make alloys. Alright, so let's start with the steel here. So I should actually wait for this to get up to higher temperature, I think. Alright, we're gonna put our steel ingot up there just to begin with. We actually gotta get the crucible up to steel smelting temperature, so we'll be back when we get there. Alright, so the steel ingot was melted in the crucible, and you can see that says steel 100%. We're going to take this steel ingot, we're going to throw that in. You see the temperature goes down because you're adding something that's cold to it. You could be doing this with unshaped steel in a ceramic mold, but it would be slower. And anyway, so now it says 100% steel. We're going to take nickel. We're going to throw that in. So now it's 25% nickel, 75% steel. We're going to take black bronze. We're going to throw that in. It now says weak steel. So the ratios of the metals in the alloys they're a bit flexible now. So it doesn't have to be exactly 60-20-20 here. It could be a little bit in either direction. But this is, that's the general idea. So if we take our ceramic mold and place it there, we're going to see that it's actually starting to fill up with unshaped weak steel. Alright, so that's our unshaped weak steel. Now, let's try making an alloy that doesn't exist. Let's try throwing in this pig iron. It's going to say unknown now. If we throw that in there, we're going to get an unknown ingot, and those are absolutely useless. So, Alright, so we know that the bloomery is for processing iron, the blast furnace is for processing iron, and the kiln can melt down copper and a bit of bronze. But what about your other ores? We're actually going to throw them into the crucible. Wait for it to get up to temperature. All right, now we're going to look at powder kegs, which are recent additions. So we're going to have this empty barrel. We're going to have some redstone and a lever. We're going to go over to the crafting table, and we're going to take sulfur powder, saltpeter powder, and charcoal. The sulfur powder is made in the quarry. So we put the charcoal, the sulfur, and the saltpeter in the crafting grid to make gunpowder. You're going to need 4 stacks for this. Alright, so now our barrel's full of gunpowder. Now we're going to come over here. We're going to flick the switch. And that is going to blow up. So you can see that took out most of our bloomery, that took out our blast forge, our blast furnace. Oh, drop the blocks though. And quite a lot of the dirt. There's a smaller explosion if you're doing this in stone, but it's still quite large. Alright, we're going to look at some mobs now. So this is a regular female chicken. Ah, this is a rooster. So you can tell they look much different than chickens. Female chickens are the only chickens that will lay eggs now, so keeping roosters around probably isn't going to be as useful. Pigs. This is a female pig. Oh, and this is the male. You can see he has tusks now. Let's head over to the water. Oh, there you go. Squids are also now much smaller. And if we're going to grab this, come here. There you go. They actually drop calamari now, that you can cook in a, just like any other bit of food. Now we have wolves. Wolves are actually going to be a lot. They're going to be more of a problem now than they were before. Give them a second. Wolves will actually actively kill all other passive mobs except for cows, so having them in your area will actually deplete the animals in your area. The animals are actually a lot rarer now. You can go quite a bit without actually finding any. You can see, just taking a quick look, there aren't any animals other than the ones I've spawned. And now we're going to have cows. So, like the chickens and pigs, cows, there's now a visual difference between the males and females. This is a male. You can see he's got some curved horns, and if we look around, stop turning. The back, he has no udder. That's another male. It's another male. Another male. Oh, and here's a cow. So you see her horns are shorter and she has an udder. There is now actually a new monster as well. It's a regular skeleton. He's going to start burning, yeah. Oh, you got armor. Ah, here we go. This is a javelin skeleton. You can see he's actually holding, oh, a copper javelin there. If we, let's grab a couple limestone here. If we actually have some of these rocks in our hands, we can and similarly to how we nap them, we can also make plans for them to be smithed on anvils or cast in a mold. Build 77 includes a revamp of the combat system used in TerraFirmaCraft. To start with, if we look at the armor here, if we hold shift, we can see that it tells us that it gives 1000 defense against pierce, 1200 defense against slash, and 660 defense against crush. We can put that on, and if we look at our sword, it'll tell us it does slashing damage, and it has 170 attack. The way that the combat system works is that every time you take a hit, a part of your body will be randomly selected, weighted random chance, to receive that hit. And if you were wearing that piece of armor on that part of your body, you'll be defended from the hit. Build 77 adds the ability to make alcohols. For example, if we take barley grain and seal it in this barrel of water, and wait a bit of time, we'll see that it has beer in it. If we placed a glass bottle, we'd be able to collect the beer. Alright, so alcohols can be consumed to acquire some effects. So let's drink some here. Oh, wow, we got a really rare one. We got water breathing. Oh. Starting to get a little nauseated. Oh, we got blindness. And weakness. Alright then. You'll notice while you're drunk, anything you type in chat will actually be slightly slurred.